Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode of the NASCAR Heat 5 career mode here on the channel. Today we go to Texas Motor Speedway in all three series. First up, of course, the truck series, but you notice that right at the start of the video, Kyle Busch, our teammate, is very close to being a rival, which completely caught me off guard. I had no idea, but coming into the start of this episode, I noticed that there and I thought that was pretty interesting. So we're definitely going to have to be a little more friendly with Kyle Busch here in the future now to make sure we don't have a two-time Cup Series champion as our rival in just our rookie season here in the Cup Series. But we had Erik Jones, of course, here in the Truck Series to keep an eye on here tonight at Texas Motor Speedway, where he started a little bit behind the mid-pack. It was not a very good qualifying effort from Erik Jones now as he came through turns 1 and out of turns 2 behind Jennifer Joe Cobb there now. So definitely was hoping he'd be able to work his way forwards and he would jump up to this far outside right off the bat and try to get as much progress as he could here through the turns 3 and 4, but then he actually got into the outside wall there through turns 3, unfortunately, and that hurt his progress just a little bit. Texas Motor Speedway being a very tough track to run well at here in NASCAR Heat 5, and just really just any NASCAR Heat game. I've always had struggles at this track, except for like the very first like NASCAR Heat Evolution, I think it was, where I actually would be able to run pretty good here, but obviously have struggled quite a bit since then, unfortunately, now, as Erik, though, would move his way forward, going 3 wide up the middle here a little bit later on in this race as he was behind Ross Chastain, or was that Ty Majeski, actually, there possibly, as he came through turns 1 and 2 on the inside of Jordan Anderson, 3 wide as he was trying to move his way forwards here as he goes down the back straightaway. A little bit of contact there, but he goes up the inside of Sheldon Creed into turns 1 or into turns 3, sorry, and just continues to make up some ground here as he got into the back of that 20 truck of Spencer Boyd as he came through out of turns 4. But Erik still just kind of moving his way forward slowly but steadily here as it goes down towards turns 1 of the inside of Boyd, and now he's going to be able to gain that position as well as it came through the center of the corner. So like I said, continuing to move forwards now, but as we came through a little bit later, he actually lost a position to Jordan Anderson after battling up the inside there of, I believe that's Tyler Gray, and then after this happened, we actually had a spin behind us from Rafael Lessard here out of turns 4, and that would end up bringing out a caution. This was at the very late stages of this race. This would actually force a 2-lap dash here in Texas Motor Speedway for the truck finish. So Erik gets back underway. At this point, it's still not in the top 10, actually, as he went down towards turns 1, but only 2 laps to go. You know Erik Jones is going to be full send at this point now as he's right on the back of Ben Rhodes, sorry, as he comes through out of turns 2, making it 3 wide up the inside of Ben Rhodes as he goes down the back straightaway. A lap and a half to go here at Texas Motor Speedway now as he dives down into turns 3. You see Matt Crafton all the way up at the top there now as the 56 truck moves up the hill a little bit. I have no idea, to be completely honest, who drives that 56 truck now as we come through 3 wide across the line for Jones as they start the final lap here at Texas Motor Speedway. Ross Chastain out in front over second place of what was Ty Majeski, and then into turn 3 he would lunge up the inside of the 88 of Matt Crafton now, but out of turns 4 Natalie Decker takes them 3 wide down out of turns 4, contact with Crafton and Decker, but he comes through saving it, crossing the line here behind Matt Crafton for a subpar finish here. It was a very rough start to the race, but he did cap it off with a top 10 here in Texas. So Erik Jones, solid finish. Chastain wins. I meant Zane Smith, not Ty Majeski when I said Majeski's name there towards the end. But now, obviously, it was time to come through to check how the Xfinity Series went. I myself did not compete in the Xfinity Series race again. It was actually Kyle Busch for the second race in a row, so I'm just going to show you guys the finishing order on the screen. But Erik Jones is going to have to watch out for him. I'm hearing some rumblings here possibly that some team shakeup could be coming here in the Cup Series in the career mode sometime soon. But here you see in Texas the finishing order for the Xfinity Series. It was Brandon Jones with the victory. Riley Herbst in P17. Kyle Busch had a decent finish as well inside the top 20, but not very good. Not the Kyle Busch standard that we are used to seeing here now. But now it is time to go Cup Series racing here in Texas now as we're going to get ready to qualify. So like I said at the beginning of this video, Texas, not a track that I've always had a lot of success at. So definitely not sure what to expect coming into this one, but we will get underway here for our qualifying attempt here down into turns 1. So the goal was a 29.0 or 0.303, so I was confident that we actually were not going to hit that gap here as we go down through now turns 3 and out of turns 4. Just getting through turns 3 and turns 4 pretty decently, but out of turns 4 I lose the car and go crashing into the outside wall, destroying the front end of the car now, as that is going to completely wipe any chance we had right there of having a decent qualifying effort. We do manage to get the car back going across the line with a 38.011, and that's going to put us at P40 here at Texas now, as the car just snapped out of control, and unfortunately I could not hold on to it there, as I just overcorrected trying to save it, and into the outside wall I went. Very unfortunate. There as you see the rest of the qualifying order, and on the pole here for Texas, it is going to be Kyle Busch, our teammate, with Jimmy Johnson up there in P4 as well. So now it is time to get going here for the O'Reilly Auto Parts 500. I did not have a chance to get Microsoft Flight Sim incorporated into this video or the last one, but it will be back, don't worry, for probably the next episode when we go to Bristol Motor Speedway. Looking so much forward to Bristol Motor Speedway now, but obviously we have probably, in my opinion, this is the worst mile-and-a-half track on the NASCAR schedule right here, ever since the repave and the reconfiguration of turns 1 and 2, but either way, we are underway here for the O'Reilly Parts Auto 500 here at Texas Motor Speedway from the 40th position. So stage 1 is going to be an uphill battle for us, but I'm up for the challenge here as we dive down through this first corner now, hoping that we can obviously get up towards that top 10 and get some stage points. That would obviously be the preferred, but it's going to be very tough to do here now, as we have a lot of ground to make up as we dive down into this third turn behind the 62 of Brendan Gaughan and go upside the 00, or up inside the 00 of Quinn Hoff. Obviously Quinn Hoff, another driver going for Rookie of the Year against us, but obviously he runs like 35th every race, so he's not going to be in the picture now as we dive down into turns 1. Really, the drivers that we are really seem to be competing right now for that Rookie of the Year is going to be Christopher Bell as well as Cole Custer. Tyler Reddick, he kind of shows some potential here and there, but usually he's kind of behind us now as we go down this backstretch. 3 wide there as we dive down into turn 3, but already up into 32nd. Then we would pass Ricky Stenhouse Jr. here and move up into the P31 position now, and then sure enough, we come through on lap 4 now up inside the top 30 into P28, getting to the back of Chris Buescher there as we come through out of turns 2. He gets slowed up a little bit there by Corey LaJoie, and then sure enough we get to the inside of LaJoie out of turns 4 down the front straightaway, making it 3 wide with him and Michael McDowell now on lap 5 of stage 1 as I dive down into turns 1. So now up inside the top 25, we also would be able to get past Daniel Suarez there in the 96 car and then try to run down the 3 of Austin Dillon, but then we would actually get our first caution of the day already here in Texas Motor Speedway. Nobody was coming into the pit lane, so of course we decided to stay out here now as Kyle Busch still leading at this point over second place of Ryan Blaney. Jimmy Johnson started P4 and he still runs P4. I saw a suggestion to get like some type of mod for like more realistic finishes for like drivers like Jimmy Johnson, but I feel like it's actually pretty consistent with Jimmy Johnson's finishing. He actually does have the potential in this game to make the playoffs, I think. He just got to get rid of that bad luck that he has had so far now, as we have 16 laps to go here in this first and opening stage now as we dive down into turns 1 behind the 42 of Matt Kenseth, down in that 22nd position, or 23rd Kenseth is, so not the greatest start for the one-time Cup Series champion back from the early 2000s, or 2003 if I'm not mistaken, as we dive down into turns 3 behind us. Bubba Wallace in that 43 car on the far outside, but I get way too high and actually tag the outside wall just a little bit there as I came to the center of the corner and the car just did not want to turn, and unfortunately that left the door open for Bobby Carter, but we would hang on to his or that position over him. And I hear that Bobby Carter's position at that 73 car might not be completely safe this season now, as we are going to see how that progresses here in the coming races now, as we're going to go 3 wide up the inside of Chris Buescher as well as Kenseth, and then get up the inside of Ryan Preece, but then no, Preece is actually able to dive down into the corner and stay ahead of me, but we still would get past him. We came through now on lap 13 of stage 1, now up the inside of Matt DiBenedetto as we go down this backstretch. So just continuing to move forward as we pass them, we got to the inside of Cole Custer as well into turn 3. We passed him for 16th, but then fuel was becoming an issue, which I did not quite notice at first, but then as the laps were going on I realized we were short on fuel. 5 laps to go, 4 laps to fuel, and we were actually about a lap and 3/4 short to be exact. So I decided, of course, we're going to have to come to the pit lane because I could not save a lap and 3/4 of fuel with the amount of time we have left. So we come through on lap 22 out of turns 4, Ryan Blaney into the pit lane as well as myself, but then we speed onto the pit lane.
Slow down. Hey driver, you were too fast entering pit road. Gonna have to serve a penalty.
I am so stupid. I am so sorry, guys. And there you heard the radio transmission from myself to the team just saying, I'm so stupid. That was I had so much time to not do that, and I proceeded to speed anyways. Of course, you heard TJ Majors over the radio say we do have that penalty, and unfortunately, we still don't have drive-through penalties in this game. Of course, I want to see that, but we had to just serve the 30 seconds there as our penalty instead. So I was really hoping that things were going to work out here, but I came through out of the pit lane realizing Ryan Newman was already starting the final lap of the stage, and then the 36 actually overtakes him coming to the line, but that makes it just as bad for us now, seeing that some drivers still made it on field to the end of the stage. Mostly everybody did not now as we come through out of turns 4, so we are now going to be trapped a lap down in 39th place because of my stupidity of speeding in the pit lane. So it's P38 here in stage 1, unfortunately now, instead of what could have been maybe top 10, top 15, so extremely stupid on my part now. But along with me getting trapped a lap down, one thing, fortunately for us, is a bunch of other drivers got trapped a lap down, and it was a bunch of slower cars that were able to make it to the end of the stage other than Brad Keselowski, which means a lot of the fast drivers in this field are going to be trapped a lap down along with myself. So we should actually have a decent chance here to maybe pull something out of this now, as there's about 20 cars or so on the lead lap. I was hoping we could take a wave around. Unfortunately, we could not. Denny Hamlin actually was the reason for the first caution. We just find out now he is out of this race, unfortunately now, as we would get underway for the start of the second stage here at Texas Motor Speedway. So now knowing that just like a few races ago, we are now racing for that lucky dog position, so hopefully we can get into that spot and have a good chance. Last time, like I said, we were racing for that lucky dog spot. We still managed to get a very solid top 10 finish out of it at Atlanta Motor Speedway. So hopefully we can do the same thing here today in Texas. But unfortunately, no stage points. We've been struggling a little bit so far at the start of our rookie season with picking up the stage points, as well as just trying to stay consistent. Clearly, we are not the most consistent right now, and that's obviously not going to slide later in the season if we're in the playoffs now as we come through, crossing the line, completing this first lap of stage 2 now, as I was playing it a little bit cautious here, but knowing at the same time I really need to get going. So I finally get up the inside of some drivers, as well as you saw I was up the inside of the 42 of Matt Kenseth there, as well as Austin Dillon, as we came through out of turns 4, just starting to move our way forwards and do whatever I can to get into that lucky dog position. And you can see it says lap 2 on the top left. We're actually on lap 3, but it is because I'm a lap down. So keep that in mind now as we come through right behind Chad Fincham, this season's Daytona 500 winner. And as of right now, he is still locked into the playoffs unless he falls outside of that top 30 in points. But I continue moving my way forwards now into the top 30. Keep in mind, still a lap down, but we just had, once again, just like Atlanta, a whole lot of drivers a lap down, including Jimmy Johnson, as we come through out of turn 4. Johnson has a fairly fast car, but once again, bad luck strikes, and then we actually have a crash right behind us. The 95 of Christopher Bell goes spinning, collecting Ty Dillon, William Byron, as well as Ryan Preece. That brings out the caution here for the first time in stage 2, but unfortunately, we were not in the lucky dog position. So we would just have to accept that fact and see that we were about 4 positions behind, or 5 positions behind the lucky dog position. So hopefully here we can run down Martin Truex Jr. as we get underway for the start of now what will be lap 8 of 24 here in stage 2, where I think it is 4 spots to that lucky dog spot, because I think it's Martin Truex Jr. that is currently in the lucky dog position, not Chad Fincham. Now as we dive down into turns 1, Kurt Busch up my inside, William Byron, Jimmy Johnson just behind myself, Chase Elliott just in front of us. Elliott, another driver, he's had speed this season, along with Kurt Busch, who's on my inside, but both of them have not had very good luck this season. Now as we dive down into turn 3, Kurt Busch, last time out, actually had a very solid effort. At Homestead, Miami, he was able to get, I believe, a top 10 out of it, so that was finally nice to see him have a good run. But then we would pass Martin Truex Jr., but unfortunately, Chase Elliott had also passed Martin Truex Jr., so I'm trying to run down Chase Elliott, because that was for the lucky dog position, and, well, surprise, 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 I would actually run that 9 car down here and pass him. So we were now in the lucky dog position at this point, just hoping for a caution here now as it came through turns 1 and 2, now on lap 11 of stage 2, passing John Hunter Nemechek, as well as that car on my inside of Ty Dillon, and we would be in like P15 provisionally, but still running P25. Of course, we would pass Justin Haley as we came through out of turn 2, but then Daniel Suarez is blowing a right front tire or something as we go down the back straightaway into turn 3, brings out the caution, gives us the lucky dog a lot earlier earlier than we got it in Atlanta, but we played our cards right, and now we are in the lucky dog position, so we can pit for 2 cans of fuel, 4 tires. Kyle Busch currently leading, but he will give up the lead for a pit stop here as he will restart P20. Unfortunately, of course, when you get the lucky dog, you have to start at the tail end of the longest line. So here we are for this restart now with less than 10 laps to go once we hit the line here in Stage 2 at the very back of the pack. Unfortunately, that definitely means we are probably not going to get stage points here in Stage 2. We do have fresh tires, which will play into our advantage a little bit, but already our second lucky dog of the NASCAR Heat 5 career mode. And I think that's like more than we've had in the whole NASCAR Heat 4 career mode. We only had like maybe one in the NASCAR Heat 4 career mode. We were never really in a position where we had to take one, but obviously things have changed a little bit this season. We came through out of turns 4 on the outside of Kenseth, but I get into the outside wall there, and then I hit it again there going down the front straightaway. Just a complete goofball move, and then we would have to fight back from that little mistake here and get back to the outside of these guys, but definitely a very rocky restart for myself now as Ryan Newman was out front here with just 6 laps to go in Stage 2. We were now up to P21 starting to gain these positions because, like I said, a lot of the drivers that were on the lead lap are pretty slow cars here in the field, so that plays into an advantage to us so much. But Joey Logano, he had taken the lead now with 5 laps to go in the stage. Kyle Busch up in front of us there trying to work his way through this traffic. Now as we have a spinner behind us again, Ty Dillon and Matt Kenseth go crashing, and Ty Dillon was involved in the last one. This time he loses a tire and goes spinning, maybe from the contact with that 95 car under that last yellow. I decide though we're just going to come into the pit lane, put tires on it, put fuel in it, repair the car, because obviously we still get our position moved up now as we don't have to be at the back of that longest line. So now we'll be restarting on the outside of the 38 of John Hunter Nemechek, and it will leave us just a 1-lap dash here in Stage 2. Our first 1-lap dash, I think, in NASCAR Heat 5 for the end of a stage we've had now as we go down towards turns 1. Not a great launch from myself at all. Now as we're going to have to try and build up as much momentum as we can. Ryan Blaney is leading out of turns 2 as he is going to try and get another stage victory now. Blaney with 2 wins on the season, tied for the most with Denny Hamlin, I believe it is now, as we go down the back straightaway right behind Justin Haley, as we're going to send it up the inside of him into the outside of the 32 of LaJoie, as well as we're going to get to the outside of McDowell as we come through out of turns 4, but it's not going to be stage points as we're 3 wide in the middle behind Almirola. Have to get out of the throttle there, coming to the line P15 in Stage 2. So I mean, can't complain considering where we started the stage, so definitely have a good chunk of confidence going into that final stage because, like I said, we see how many slower cars are on the lead lap. I think this is going to increase our chances massively of getting a top 10 with all these faster cars trapped a lap down. This should be also a great chance to rally up and get our points gap kind of built back up now. So I was very confident there. Obviously, just absolute stupidity getting that speeding penalty in the first place, but we're back in business now as we're going to be P11 here as we gain 4 spots on the pit lane now as the third and final stage is underway here at Texas Motor Speedway. Can Ryan Blaney hold on for win number 3 on the season? Unlikely as he restarts now, obviously behind Joey Logano, who is now leading this thing. Now Blaney had a bad pit stop, I think it was an episode or 2 ago, and he once again has that problem. He is actually behind myself here as we come through out of turns 2. Chris Buescher up the inside of Bobby Carter's. We're going to make it 3 wide with both of them as we dive down towards turns 3 behind the 43 as well of Bubba Wallace now as we come through up into P7 already now as we come through out of turns 4. This being one of the longer stages for the final stage at the 1.5 mile racetracks on the schedule now to complete the first and opening lap here of Stage 3. We're going to send it to the outside of the RPM driver of Bubba Wallace through turns 1 and 2. Awesome to see the 43 of Bubba up here in the top 10 here in Texas as we come through down the back straightaway side by side with Bubba Wallace now as we go down towards turn 3, trying to take that 6th position away from him, but Bubba was not going to go down without a fight there as we try to use that momentum to our advantage as we come through out of turns 4, but eventually here on lap 59 into turns 1 is when I finally would clear him for that position. So now it was time to run down David Reagan here with just 22 laps to go. We got pretty spread out at this point. Alex Bowman was actually leading the race, but then Ryan Blaney had run me down as we came through out of turns 2, pushing way up the track, going the exit of the corner. We hit the outside wall again like we did earlier there as I just could not turn the car, and unfortunately the car kind of felt really tight here and there after that, and then it was also getting loose at the exit of turns 4 here and there. The car was all over the place. I ended up losing that to Martin Truex Jr. That was not a position, but as we come through out of turns turns 4 on lap 68, I make a strategy call saying we're going to short pit to see if we can gain some time here. This time, I do not speed on the pit lane, which is very nice now. So we come in here for 4 tires and fuel. I did not put 2 cans of fuel in the car. I should have, because obviously I'm taking 4 tires, so it wouldn't have changed the pit stop length if we put 2 cans of fuel in or not. But either way, it was estimated 15.8, and it was a 15.8. We did fix up the right side damage as well on the car, and we exit the pit lane on lap 69. Nice now is Alex Bowman still out front, looking for the first win of the season for him. And as we came through out of turn 2 now, a few laps later on lap 71, you can see the tire advantage. We're just blowing by these guys. Obviously, these guys being slower in general, but we still would just completely obliterate them down the back straightaway. Then, sure enough, everybody was doing their pit cycle now here, so we pitted probably about 4 or 5 laps earlier than most of the field. We would pass Christopher Bell. Here we were already up into the top 10, and sure enough, on lap 76, we cycle out through again, passing Jimmy Johnson. That was not for position, but Kyle Busch was, as well as the aid of Tyler Reddick, and we would be now up into the 6th position here on lap 76. Now on lap 85 laps to go, still running P6, Ryan Blaney would take the lead away from his Penske teammate Joey Logano with 5 laps to go, and he was trying to hold on to victory. Kyle Busch, though, he was running me down so quick. I was dealing with handling issues, as you saw on the exit of turns 4, and Kyle would be able to run me down as we went down towards turns 1 and get to my outside as we dive down into the corner, and I had absolutely nothing for Kyle Busch. I made sure we raced him extra clean right there, because if we get into him, he very well could become a rival. So we drop down now into P7 with 4 laps to go here in Texas, and I just had nothing for him. We come to 2 laps to go. Same situation, just continuing to drop now as the fuel icon does come on. We come through to start the final lap here now in Texas Motor Speedway with Ryan Blaney still out front with half a lap to go. So it looks like now Blaney is in position to get win number 3 on the season, which would be very close. I think that would tie the amount of career mode wins he had in general in my NASCAR Heat 4 career mode now as we come through turns 3 and 4 for the final time. You saw the field light was on as we come through out of turns 4. Blaney with win number 3 on the season, and now I'm actually running out of fuel coming to the line, but it's going to be okay. We hang on for a 7th place finish here in the O'Reilly Parts Auto 500 at Texas Motor Speedway. So definitely a way better finish than I thought we were going to get, and obviously that speeding penalty put us way back. We weren't able to really get stage points, unfortunately, because of that, but either way, we still rebounded quite nicely there, as Jimmy Johnson down in 26th, Byron 31st, Custer all the way down there. All those guys got trapped a lap down. Kurt Busch actually got P9 in this race, so very good for Kurt Busch now, so you cannot complain for him. Now, it was actually, I said he had a good race in Homestead, Miami. No, I just remembered. Homestead was the race where he blew a tire and went into the outside wall. So he's now rebounding, at least here in Texas. And can he continue it, though? That's the big question. Kurt Busch has had such a terrible start to his season that he's really going to need to be consistent from this point on if he wants to make it into the playoffs. Of course, he could just go win a race and then be okay after that. But in the next one, we'll be going to Bristol Motor Speedway, one of my most successful tracks ever in NASCAR Heat. So I think this could be a real chance for us to potentially pick up our first career win in the Cup Series. At least that's what I'm hoping. And as always, if you guys enjoyed this episode, you do know what to do as usual. And in the next one, like I said, we'll be going to Bristol, where hopefully we can pick up that first Cup Series win, as you see the points on your screen. So Ross Chastain, 4 points out of the Xfinity Series playoffs right now, but there you see Ryan Blaney. It doesn't say how many playoff points they have anymore in this game, which is really disappointing. I'd love to see maybe that get back added in. But we're P8 right now in the playoff standings. We will move up that spot when Fincham falls out of the top 30, like I assume he will. And Austin Dillon currently holds the last spot. Johnson now out by 11, but it's going to get good here in the next one at Bristol. Thank you for watching, everybody, and have yourselves a great day.